Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes, and it looks almost certain now that Reeves will hold the threshold. She will keep the threshold freeze in place till at least 2030. And this has several implications. One, of course, is she thinks it's going to raise an extra £31 billion over that time. Experts from the IFS, the Institute of Fiscal Studies, say no, it won't. It won't raise anything like that. Less than half, in fact, because although there is the fiscal drag bringing people up into tax, there'll be a lot of people who will, how shall we say, maneuver their lifestyle into not paying any tax whatsoever. Or, of course, there'll be others that will just decide that enough's enough and will leave. And there'll be those who'll take, the easiest option of going, well, it's not actually worth me working now. One of the problems they've got is pensions. If not this year, depending on the triple lock, if not this year, then certainly next year, basic rate pension will become taxable. It will be enough to tip over the tax threshold limit. Now, there is a rumour that she will make an allowance for pensioners, maybe having a pensioners' tax allowance that will raise it and so that it will be above the pensionable rate, maybe. No guarantee of that. Otherwise, pensioners on basic pensions will start paying tax for the first time ever. There's also the problem of minimum wage. At the moment, if you're on minimum wage, chances are you're not paying tax on minimum wage. That was the plan. The sort of £13 an hour, 37 hours a week. You were meant to be just on that threshold of tax. But as, of course, the tax threshold remains frozen, but the minimum wage increases in line with inflation, it means that more and more people on minimum wage will move into paying tax. And, of course, this means that any rise in the minimum wage means you're not actually getting that rise. You're then paying a bigger proportion of that in tax and national insurance. That's not what it's intended to be either. She's actually moving more and more people into the tax bands. It's a terribly bad idea. The threshold freezes means that anyone paying tax or national insurance is going to pay a lot more over time, because obviously as their wages rise, even beyond the minimum wage or pensioners, as their wages rise, they get into the marginal rates more increasingly, which means they're doing the same work for effectively less money. Now, the IFS has revealed that these increases to minimum wage were progressively being absorbed by people being forced to pay higher taxes, which means that they will then ask their employers for more money to counter that. Employers will then have to put prices up, and so the whole thing then becomes inflationary. And then you get into the whole inflationary circle, which is bad considering we don't have any growth, and therefore massive stagflation, which always ends up in, a terrible mess, and usually a depression, if not a recession. One of the two. Hopefully a recession rather than a depression, but you never know with this lot. But it's at the point now where anyone who works more than 32 hours a week will be paying tax if you're on minimum wage. And that means part-time workers will start being taxed. Isn't that bad? But state pensioners paying tax, that's just evil. Again, she's got it in for pensioners. She hates pensioners, doesn't she? There's also rumours about the abandonment of the triple lock. More on that on another video later. But it can't go on. It really can't go on. There is not enough money for these people, is there? And when you've taxed everything from everyone and nobody's got anything left and they still want more, where are they getting it? It literally is blood out of a stone. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks very much. Bye.